is going on YouTubeverse? It's been quite a while since I've done any videos, man. It's been quite a few months. And there's a lot of things that have changed between the last video and this video and things like that. But we're not going to get into that right now. What we're here to talk about is maintenance on a truck. And I've got to change this guy right here. This is the filter that goes in the Davco fuel water separator. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this. It's not really hard. A lot of people are afraid to do anything fuel related because they're worried about trapping air in there and then having to prime the truck and all that kind of stuff. But this is very easy. If you do it the right way, you won't have any issues. And I happen to have a Volvo, but you know, if you're doing it on a Davco, the procedure is pretty much the same across the board. So I'm going to show you what I use, not necessarily what you need, but I'm going to show you what I use and some things that you do need. And then I'm going to show you how to do this. It's really simple. So let me flip this over and I'll be right back. So some things you will definitely need to do this are, you will need something to drain the fuel into. Whatever container you choose to use, it's got to be clean and it's got to be dry. So you need something to catch your fuel in. You're going to need some bags to put the old filter in. I like to use the bag that it came in, and I'll throw it in 2 or 3 grocery bags because it is going to seep no matter what you do. You'll need some paper towels to wipe some stuff up because you are going to have a little bit of a mess. And you'll definitely need the proper filter wrench to loosen the filter base. And of course, you need the proper filter for your application. So, me personally, I'm not a big fan of aftermarket parts. You know, a lot of people use Fleet Guard or different filters and things like that. I personally prefer the factory stuff. That's just me. That's what I do. So, and then some optional things, which I will show you that I use, is I use a drain pan, and I also wear gloves because I'm sick and tired of getting crap all over my hands. I did it for years, and I don't want to do it anymore. So, all right, let me get all set up here, and then I'll show you guys how I do it and some things to look out for, and I'll show you what we got going on. So hang in with me. I'll be right back. So there's our Davco. You can see that that filter is black. The fuel level is high. It's up to the top of the bowl. So this needs to be changed. It's very simple to do. Now I put the drain pan down underneath there just to catch anything that might dribble, just to keep it off the pavement. Now your filter wrench, see that little, it says vent cap right there? That is for this cap right here, but you don't even need that. You can just grab this, twist it right off. So that's step number 1. Go ahead and take your cap off. Now there's an O-ring on there. See that O-ring right there? That comes in the new filter, so you're going to replace that O-ring. So take your cap off. Just set that aside somewhere where you won't step on it or lose it. Now, the next step is to drain your filter. So what you got to do is, let me see if I can get to it. See right here? That's where the fuel is going to come out. So you want to take your jug, and on the back side of that, I don't know if you can see where my finger's touching it, there's a petcock right there. Put your jug underneath this, open it up, and let the fuel run out. Now when you drain the fuel, you want to drain the fuel, don't drain it all the way out. You want to drain the fuel level till it comes down to just about the top of this ring, maybe a little bit below that. Then stop. And I'll show you why in a second. So let me drain this. I can't do this with one hand, but so let me drain this and I'll be right back. Alright, if you look there, you can see I drained this down and the fuel level is just maybe a hair below this black ring. So that's about the level that you want to drain to. You can see my drain pan's got a little drip in there because this petcock right here, it might dribble a little. So that's why I put the pan under there. You got to make sure that thing's closed though. So now, the next step is very simple. Take your filter wrench, slide it down over the base, loosen her up. There we go. Shouldn't take much to loosen that. Loosen it up. There we go. A little stuck on there. And then once you pop it loose, it's hard to do this by yourself. Once it's loose like that, then all you got to do, you don't need the tool anymore. You just kind of hold this base and spin this off. I'm trying to do this best I can, but that's not going to work. Let me spin that off. I'll be right back. All right, once you got everything loose, go ahead and take, come on, there it is. Go ahead and take your lock ring off. Set that aside. Let's put it down here. This is the fuel we drained out. Looks like whiz, but it's fuel. Then you take your bowl off. Now, see this black O-ring on there? That also comes in your kit. You're going to replace that as well. So just set this aside for a minute. Let's put this down here. And now, the reason that we drained the fuel level to where we did is because if you drain this all the way down, now you will need to prime the system. So, take your fuel filter, pop it off. Just kind of hold it there for a second because it's going to drain. That's also why I put the drain pin there. I'll let it drain into there. Now, you see that black on the bottom of that filter, you see that black nipple? A lot of times, paper towel blew in there. A lot of times that nipple won't come off. It's going to get stuck on here. So what you need to do is make sure that you pull that off. Because if you try to stick the new one on there, it's almost like double gasketing an oil filter. And you don't want that. So, got some sediment in there. It's not too bad. I've seen worse. But, we'll kind of just take a look in there. You know, you can see if it's really, really black in there, that's kind of an indication you got something going on. But it's also, you know, that when that filter gets dirty, it can't filter as well, so that stuff crumples off the filter. So now all you got to do is open up your new filter and stick it on there. So in with your new filter, you're also going to get these two O-rings. Remember, this big circular one goes on your fuel bowl, and this little one goes on your vent cap lid. So we're going to change those also. But all you have to do is just take your new filter. You don't have to do anything to it. Some people like to put the date on there. I don't, because I keep track of it a different way, so I know when it's changed. What you got to do is just make sure that the little black rubber seal is on that filter. Sit it down on there. Pop it in. Just push it down. Make sure it's seated, and that's it. Now all you got to do, make sure you wipe your bowl out. Take a clean rag, wipe your bowl out. Take your old O-ring off. Put your new O-ring on. Stick that back on. Put your lock ring back on. So, let me clean this out and then I'll be right back. One thing I forgot to tell you is these new O-rings, make sure, take a little diesel fuel, rub it around the whole thing. All you got to do is just dip your finger in the fuel there, you know, and just run it around this seal all the way around. That way when you put it on, you don't have to worry about it twisting and then you have a leak. So make sure you lubricate this seal when you put it on this bowl. It just goes right there on that lip, just like that. So let me do that and put the bowl on. I'll be right back. So that's the new filter installed. Now, when you go to put this back on, so what you can do, this base, see this spring up in here? This is kind of spring loaded a little bit. So what I always do is, that's why you lubricate that big O-ring, this one here. Lubricate this O-ring with diesel fuel, because here's what happens. When you go to put this on, you can slide your lock ring, you can slide it down over the filter base, and then you can just let this spin freely. Start this, because you do not want to cross thread this. If you do, you're going to have a problem. So start this whole thing, let the whole thing spin. Okay, this will spin with the ring, most likely. Start this, get it started, and then what you do is you put your hand on top of here, you push down on this, tighten this the rest of the way, and then once you get it to where you're ready, where this is tight and it's not moving anymore, then you get your filter wrench, put your wrench on, and then you just pull this. While you're holding this down, you just kind of pull on this. This doesn't need to be super tight. You do not have to kill it on there. Just get it snug and you're good. Your O-ring will seat everything and it won't suck any air. And then all you got to do is change this O-ring in your vent cap. Pull the old one off. Grab your new one, which also you will want to lubricate with a little bit of diesel fuel. Put that on there. put your cap back on, and you're good. So when you're done, it will look just like this. Now this here, this comes off by hand. When you put it on, just put it on. I always give it a click or two, and you're good. Then there's only one thing left to do. Just make sure everything's cleaned up as best you can do. I can still wipe that off a little bit. Bag up your mess, and then the fuel that came out of your Davco, you can just dump it right back in the tank because it's clean fuel, so it's not going to hurt anything. And then there's one other thing that I'd like to do. Let me see if I can find a way to prop you up and show you this. If not, I'll just explain it to you. Hang on. I couldn't really find a good way to prop you up because I wanted you to see what happens inside that water separator when you turn the key on. I just couldn't find a good way to prop up my phone here. But what I like to do is, before I do anything, after I've completed the filter change and everything, I like to turn the key on, let it go through its priming cycle. The gauges will sweep, you'll hear everything ticking, fuel system priming. It'll do that. You know, I like to do that like 2 or 3 times. And then once it's done, you just start it up. And then go out and check for leaks. So once I started it up, you were able to see the fuel level coming up and down inside of that bowl right there. That's the truck adjusting the fuel level inside of there based on the parameters that it's seeing from the engine controller. So it'll do what it needs to do, but as long as you didn't run this dry, you're good. So, but then once you're done, you just run the engine for a little bit. I usually run it like 10 to 15 minutes just to make sure everything's good. Check for leaks, and then you should be good to go. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. And that is how you replace your Davco fuel water separator filter. Appreciate you watching. Until next time, everybody be good, be smart, be safe, and I'll catch you down the road later on.